My guest today is one of the funniest men in Britain. TV viewers have fallen in love with his characters, particularly the bumbling upper-class twit in programmes such as Jeeves and Wooster and Blackadder. Now he's back on the big screen, and the husband he plays has a big problem. He and his wife are desperate to have a baby, but they're just not having any luck.
Yeah.
Hugh Laurie, very warm welcome to the programme.
Thank you very much.
So much sex and maybe baby.
How
embarrassing was it, or was it all embarrassing?
You mean the sex?
Yeah.
The sex is quite embarrassing. Quite embarrassing. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I find the actual thing quite embarrassing. You know, if there's just two of you in the room, it's, you know, I mean, I'd say embarrassing, but, you know, it's a moment, isn't it? It's not something you just slip into casually. It's a bit of a thing. And then when you've got 30 people watching you, with opinions, 30 people with opinions, mark you, about what you're doing and how you're doing it. What I notice is that you develop the most amazing peripheral vision. You start to see, you know, people while you're looking. I was looking at Jurley and we're about to kiss, and I could see someone out there going, "God, Tommy, is that how he's going to do it?" You sort of feel you start to imagine all these things going on. You're being, you know, judged by it. It is a bit scary. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, but you know, Ben was. Ben
Elton.
Ben Elton. He worked very hard to create a terrific atmosphere that we could, where everyone felt reasonably confident they weren't going to be made a fool of, and everyone felt, you know, relaxed and so. And the truth is, I've got nothing to compare it with. I'd never done anything like this before. This was a real departure for me.
So why did you choose to do it?
Do you know, the precise reason escapes me now. Well, I was deeply flattered. Deeply flattered. I mean, to get the chance to be a romantic lead is something that, it's something I'd never done before, and I thought, crikey, this is a big thing to take on. It's very flattering to be asked, and also because Ben had written a script that was so largely about his own life, and he would say it's not him, it's not autobiographical, but it's very much drawn on his own experiences. He's sort of coming to me saying, "Will you play me in a film?" Well, I mean, that's quite an honour to have your best friend saying, "I want you to play me."
He says he saw this deep romantic soul inside you.
Yeah, he is, of course, insane. I mean, and he's going to be made to pay for that insanity over the months to come. But that's his problem. I can't worry about that. He did ask me to do it, and I said yes, and he has to live with that decision, and he may regret it for the rest of his life. But I know.
But you don't.
Well, not so far. I mean, it was hard to watch, I have to admit. The first time I watched it, I was sort of like this.
Cringing.
Oh. And the worst thing, worse than watching yourself, is listening to yourself. I find. I don't know, because you obviously have to hear your own voice a lot.
I switch it off.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear your own voice on an answer phone, that's bad enough. And you think that your own voice is an interesting thing that goes up and down and has light and shade, and then you and it's shut up. And I watched it, and I had my fingers... they pushed so far into my ears that I actually thought I was going to start bleeding. I mean, I think I may have done some frontal lobe damage because it was so hard. And then I watched it again since with a bigger audience, and that was a big relief because it got some big laughs, and I thought, well, no, maybe it's all right after all.
We were talking before we started about actors giving away too much of themselves. Do you feel you gave away? Well,
I'm giving away nothing now. I am actually Austrian by birth. I'm much shorter.
There's a strange resemblance, actually.
I think it's true. I think actors give an awful lot of away. Well, they're not in their work, but in the whole process of marketing a film nowadays. I think in interviews and so on, I think actors do. They do give away, and I think, you know, like the old thing about a photograph stealing something of your soul, I think interviews do that. I think every time you give an interview and you deliver some opinion on politics or whatever, you know, something is gone.
You're saddled with it forever.
Yeah, well, you're saddled with it. That's certainly true. But something is gone that you never get back.
You don't feel that in television or films?
Not if you're saying someone else's words. That's a great... because you're always hiding behind someone else's words. You can say, well, that, you know, wasn't me. I'm a mysterious person. You will never know what I'm like, but I was playing a character.
Favourite scenes in this film? I mean, the ones with Dawn French?
Terrific. I mean...
Trying to find some sperm for a bottle?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Check in a couple of ticks.
Dawn was absolutely brilliant. She was only there for I think it was only maybe just 2 days to do this It's very annoying when you're there for months working on this thing and someone comes in and steals the whole blasted thing in 2 days. It's very annoying. And then they just drive off going, bye. And everyone goes, wasn't she great? Yeah, and I'm still here. You're trying to make it funny. It's very annoying. But that's, it's partly, it goes with the territory. And Rowan Atkinson as well, who was also there for, only a couple of days, but I think does some of the funniest stuff I've ever... But I always say that about Rowan Atkinson. Every time I see him, I think, oh, that's it. That's the funniest thing he's ever done. And he just keeps getting better.
Do you spark each other off on the set?
I'm afraid with Rowan, I just watch. I just watch and marvel. I swear because Rowan is a different kind of animal. He's a very self-contained... he has a different way of going about his job. And he's very, very concentrated, very focused, and he's thought about every single millisecond of what he's going to do, and and I just sit there. It was like a day off for me, I didn't really have to do much acting that day. I just get to sit and watch Rowan 3 feet away being absolutely brilliant. It was a real thrill.
Good. Now, this pooter we will not be requiring today. This could be useful later. And this is essential. My moped saves me 17 minutes a day. Of course, I ride her damn hard.
Does he ever crack his face? He doesn't appear to. This elastic face never seems to quite make a smile.
He doesn't. He's very not because he's a grim soul. He isn't at all. But he's just very, very concentrated. That's when things go wrong, which from time to time they do, very seldom his fault. But when other things go wrong, he will loosen up a bit. I don't mean to say that he's some kind of comic psychopath who's sort of committed to the... But he is very... he's very sort of focused and very concentrated, but brilliantly funny. I just marvel. And, take after take, you'd find some extra little thing that was just joyous to watch. And it is in the film. And when I saw the thing cut together, he's just magnificent in it.
Got high hopes for this, for the States? Big hits?
Well, we have just very recently, or I say we, the producers have recently done a distribution deal, quite a big one with a big company in the States. I don't really understand what distribution means, actually. I'll be honest. The difference between an exhibitor and a producer and a distributor, it's all gibberish to me. But anyway...
At least they think the Brits are funny these days, don't
Yes, they do. They do. I certainly think the difference between British and American films has narrowed. Some people would say, isn't it a shame that we are becoming so like America? Well, yeah, maybe it is, but then maybe it isn't. It's the way it is. But in the first place, I think probably, 10 years ago, we were straining rather to become like Americans or make films that would please the Americans or sort of ape them in some way. And I think now, actually... It's not that they're aping us, but they certainly are more receptive to British, it appears, British films and things British. There was a time when they really would look upon a British film as it may as well be in Swedish as far as they're concerned. And actually, I think British audiences did the same. I think British audiences used to treat British films like foreign...
Except the comedies.
Even there, there was a slight feeling you go to see a British film, you half expected to see subtitles. Do we have to go and see a British film? Can't we see a brightly coloured American one with car chases?
Came in a better packet.
Yeah, shinier. It's sort of, and I recognise, and I know they're going to deliver a certain standard of sort of entertainment, if nothing else. Whereas there was something worthy about British films. They were rather kind of bleak and then Scandinavian. And it isn't true now. I think British audiences want to see British films, and I think it seems that American audiences are happy to see them too, which is great.
Hugh Laurie, you said you were a horrible child. How horrible?
Did I say I was a horrible child? Someone else must have said I was a horrible child.
And the school reports had various key words like desperate and...
Yeah, not
dire.
Not good school reports. It's a very peculiar thing, but I'm now at the point where I'm reading my own children's school reports, and having to be very strict about them, going, now look here, French, got to make more. And you know, the truth is, they are getting reports, I shouldn't even be saying this, but they're getting reports 50 times better than any report I ever got at school. But I can't let on, I can't sort of tell them that, you know, you're better than I am, much better than I am, but it's true.
You managed to contrive, I think you said, to be both fat and thin at the same time.
I did.
How did you do that?
I did. Well, it's a sort of look, isn't it, that some adolescents can, and I certainly had it. Yes, I was a pretty revolting teenager. And I like to think I've kept that theme going as I've matured, the revolting theme. I managed to keep that up.
Through times at Cambridge?
Yes. Yeah,
Where you
right
did
up,
rowing?
Right up to the present day, yes, a bit of rowing. Yeah.
A lot of rowing? You were
a lot of rowing,
You were in
yeah.
the boat race in 1980?
I was, yes.
Was that the year you won, or...?
We lost, 1980, we lost by 5 feet. Oh, no, I don't still wake up thinking about that. Not at all, no, it's completely clear. How much was it, 5 feet? Or was it 200 yards? I forget. No, that was a bit of a close one, yeah.
And then a lady called Alison suggested that you audition for Footlights.
That was my sort of, that was my beginning, as it were.
And you met Stephen Fry, of course.
Yes, a couple of years later.
Partnership.
Yeah, no, we still...
Went off on tour in Australia, and Emma Thompson said you were married ever since.
Yeah, we were, really.
What was the key to the partnership?
Just make each other laugh. Still, to this day. I mean, I saw him when I spent last weekend with him, and we still... You know, we just make each other laugh. It can be about absolutely nothing. I mean, it's not... there's nothing particularly remarkable about it. I'm sure lots of people have friends who they, particularly with friendships you make at a particular age, in 20 or so, or late teens, those sort of relationships, they are very intense. If you make each other laugh then, you probably will do it all your life, unless something very weird happens. But and we still do. We still laugh about the stupidest things, and we, be watching television or reading newspaper, and we both find the same things funny at exactly the same moment. He says you're very frustrating. You won't use your talents. Does he?
Won't sing. You're a musician.
I certainly will not sing. Not for you, no. No, that's a business. That is a frightening thing, I find. I mean, with acting, all actors are nervous when they perform, and I certainly get, I get nervous about it. But with acting, you very quickly learn that part of what you're doing is faking the nerves. You're covering them up. When you come to perform music, it just gets... I really don't understand how people stand up in front of an audience and do a violin concerto or perform music, because your parts of your body do not obey your brain. However much you say, right, I've got to fake it, I've got to project calm. Well, that's fine, you can project calm, but if your hand's doing like that and you've got to play the violin, which hand do they play with? Left hand. I can't do it. So even now I can't do it. You're absolutely stuck. I don't know how musicians do it, how they get up and just... I don't know. Maybe
but you seem to be terrified, not just of musical performance, but of doing what you do. The more success you have, the more fear you seem to have. Why is that?
This has got very intense, hasn't it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But you're right, I do. I get very apprehensive about... I've really chosen the wrong job. I don't know what job I should have, but it should not be this one, because I don't have the mental equipment for it, really. The sort of, to hell with them attitude that actors and performers need. They need an element of, I don't care what people think. I'm going to walk out on a stage, and what will be, will be.
But that's what you project anyway. I mean, things like Blackadder.
Do I project that?
It looks effortless and easy. How much fun was Blackadder?
Blackadder was great. That was
the
really
best thing
good
you've
fun.
done, do you think?
The most enjoyable thing, I think, I would say actually that working with Stephen was some of the most enjoyable stuff, and doing some of the P.G. Wodehouse things was very, very good fun. But Blackadder was great. It was great because it was an ensemble thing, and therefore it was shared in something. You didn't feel like you were going to have to. I mean, you had your moments, and you had to sort of deliver when your moment came, but nonetheless, there was a sort of group feeling to it, even though Rowan was obviously the, as we still call him, the senior British comedian.
Fabulous. University education. You can't beat it.
That was very, very good fun to do. It had its fraught moments. There would be a lot of arguments and a lot of disagreements about how to go, and it was quite competitive in a way, but not unpleasantly so. It was always sort of bracing. He used to whistle on the way to work. That was good fun.
Hugh Laurie, great pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
A Night of Gormenghast debuts next on BBC America.